Today's topic is seasons change. Okay, so if you're a sports player, you may be familiar with the term seasons as it relates to different seasons within basketball, football. It basically means different sets of periods of time where your team may experience one thing, and then the next season may bring about change, something um totally different, or like minor changes and shifts and pivots. Basically, each season provides something different. So I want to talk about seasons as it relates to our lives, okay? Because this is something we need to understand, that our lives are meant to be lived in seasons. When I learned that, it did a thing. It did a thing in me and in my life. It taught me that life's a journey. I feel like the purpose of seasons as it relates to things being done in a specific time frame, meaning it has an ending, meaning it has a beginning and an end. I feel like the purpose of that shows you that when you zoom out and you look at your life from a particular season, from a beginning time to an ending time, and you see all the things that you've done in that particular season, it allows you to analyze or regroup and reflect on all the things that you did within that time frame. And so that's basically what a season is as it relates to your life. And being able to make the proper adjustments, shifts, or pivots that you need to see an elevation in a different season of your life. It should be reflected to show changes or growth, or challenges you may face, experiences you may have, your high points, whether your success and accomplishments, or your low points, your failures, your insecurities, your self-doubts, your weaknesses, and your strengths too. But I feel like that's part of when you don't see that your life is meant to be lived in seasons. I feel like we can just continue go in a continuous cycle, and we don't ever put time to the side to reflect on when we just enter a new season and when we're exiting an old one. And like I said, when you don't establish that concept, then you'll continue just living your life and not understanding that you've changed seasons. So I feel like that's extremely important for us to realize. And just like in sports, where we can take the time to regroup and come up with different strategies and game plans to adjust for the upcoming season. And I feel like if we can do that as it relates to sports, then we should be able to do the same thing within our lives. And so, as I said before, I feel like you need to know, as far as reflecting, you need to know where you stand in a certain season, what was required of you, how did you show up in certain seasons, and what you need to do or like upgrade in the next coming season. Like I said, what changes and shifts you need to make. And so I feel like this is something that God placed on my heart, because we need God in everything that we do. Okay? And so this is one thing that um I used to say, but I felt like back then I was saying it wrong. But since God allowed me to like retouch on this, he kind of shifted how I would phrase this. And so I would used to say that you don't need God in everything, right? I'm not even gonna say that. I used to say you don't need God to do everything. That's what I used to say. Like I used to say, stop limiting yourself. You don't need God to do everything. And what I was really trying to say was, we gonna need God to do everything, right? Getting up, well, yeah, getting out of our bed in the morning. If the average person is able to do that, then they can just get up and do it. You ain't got to sit there and pray to God, like laying in your bed, like, please God, get me up out of the bed in the morning. However, I'm saying the average person. However, there are some people who are in seasons of their life where they are dependent on God for just that, something that we could see the average person may seem as small. They are dependent on God for that. They may be paralyzed, or they may be having back issues. Somebody may be deaf, somebody may be blind, and so it's just like, if you are experiencing those kind of limitations, then you need God for that. But the average person who's not experiencing that kind of limitation in that season, and the same could be for emotionally. Somebody may be fighting depression, somebody may be fighting mental or emotional limitations, let's just say that. So most of us may not have those specific limitations, and it's like we're asking God to do something, to do a thing in our life, and he's like, I gave you everything you need to do that, but you're still asking me. Like, you're able to walk, you're able to speak, you're able to read, you're able to write. Like I said, you're not paralyzed, you're able to use your legs, you're able to get up out the bed in the morning. Some people aren't experiencing that. They are dependent on God for the basics. They are dependent on God for the very basic things. And here you are, with all your capabilities and abilities to do a thing, but you're still praying and asking God to bless you, to bless you financially, to bless you, with the relationship. He's like, I done sent signs, I done put people in your path, I done gave some gestures and things like that, and here you are still asking me. You get what I'm saying? Use what I gave you. You keep asking me to do something for you, but I've already gave you all the things that you need to do it. And this hit me differently because when I first realized this, it spoke to me, and I hope it's speaking to somebody as well. But it just showed me, like, wow, some people really do have limitations in areas that I have capabilities in, and so if I'm asking God to do a thing in my life, I must. It's like, do I already have the things that I need? Especially if God gave you a vision. If God gave you a vision to do a thing, He already provided you everything that you needed, at least to get started. Things may come along the way. You might get added resources or equipment, but He gave you everything that you need right now to get started. And so, use what you have, is basically what I'm trying to say. Use what you have, whether it's your gifts, your talents, your skills, your acquired skills. Like, He gave them to you for a reason. Use it. Stop limiting yourself. Okay, so I broke it down into 4 different segments. Like I said, each season requires or may bring about different experiences, challenges, shifts, and things like that. And so, as it relates to sports, I'm shoot your shot. So I broke it down into 4 different segments, and those 4 are: you have preseason, regular season, playoffs, and off season. Okay, and I'm going to just go through each and just show you just like different things that you should be thinking about as it relates to different seasons. And I'm using basketball terms, but you can apply this, to your own life. Okay, so with preseason, as it relates to basketball, this is like exhibition games. Okay, and so this is when they're going, they're having their exhibition games, and they're seeing who's a good fit, and then they're making their final cuts, for the team, for their final cuts off the roster. And so I saw this as, what are some things that you need to cut off in your life? What are the people, places that you just need to completely let go in this season of your life? What what bad habits or ways of thinking is holding you back that you need to cut off? Okay? So that's preseason, making cuts. What are some things you need to cut off? The second season, we have regular season, and this is where the games are played. This determines the standings of regular season awards like MVPs, defensive player, and rookie of the year, etc. Okay, and so I took this as, how did you do? You know, what are your accomplishments? Did you achieve the goals you had set in place? Did you do all the things you said you wanted to do? Reach your goals? What did you build? What skills did you learn? What new skills did you learn? How did you apply yourself in this world? Did you add value? You know, did you build your emotional health, your emotional stability? Like, what did you, your spiritual stability? Like, what did you do? The third one is your playoff season. Okay, and this is in basketball. This is the elimination rounds. Okay, the final two teams compete for the championship, and I feel like this is what be considered you versus you, the old you versus the new you. Who's going to come out on top? Okay. Michael Jackson has a song where he's basically saying that, and I'm sure you know it. I'm fighting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. So it's just like, and then it's this another quote that I like. It say, go to war with the man or woman in the mirror, and don't come back until you win. That was something that I had posted on my board, because like we're gonna have wars within ourselves, and so it's just like, who's gonna come out on top, the better version of you or the worst version of you? Go do that inner work, the inner healing that you need to do to be emotionally healthy, to live a better life, do the personal development, all of that. You know what I'm saying? So who's going to come out on top? Who's going to be the championship? Who's going to be the champion? Excuse me. Okay, so that's playoff season. And my last season, I got off season. Okay, and this is when players engage in individual training to prepare for the next year, right? So it's like, what are you working on within yourself in between seasons? So it's like, because you know there's gonna be a new segment next year, you gotta stay in shape. You got it so you could get drafted or recruited or whatever. And so it's just like, as it relates to life, what is your emotional and spiritual practices? What are you doing to stay in shape, to stay fit? Because in the previous seasons, we done been through some things. We might have lost some things. We might have got injured, right? That's what happens when you play games. You get injured. So it's like, did you lose your confidence? Did you get hurt emotionally? Did you get your heart broken? Is there some heartbreak you need to recover from? Okay, what are some things that you're gonna do within your individual training? What are you prepping for? What are you rebuilding? Like I said, are you rebuilding your confidence? Are you rebuilding your self-esteem? Are you rebuilding your faith? Are you rebuilding your relationships? You might have fell off with some people, some relationships that you may want to rekindle, that's valuable in your life. It's okay. So everybody likes to say they don't need people and they good on folks, but let's be real. There's some people, some relationships that are valuable in our lives, and if you were the one to contribute in that relationship failing, you need to take a look at yourself and figure out what do you need to work on to um maintain healthy relationships. You know what I'm saying? So what are some things you need to rebuild, to strengthen in your off season? And so that's pretty much it. Basically understanding that our lives are lived in seasons, and there's always a purpose for it. Learn the lessons from the experiences that you had, the challenges, the ups and downs, and reflect. Reflect on them, make adjustments, make shifts, make changes, make pivots to do what you need to do to elevate and to have a better season in the future. Do what you have to do to experience a winning season, basically. And it helps provide structure within your life. See, life is a journey, as I mentioned before. So when you take the time to divide it up, you will see that there's things that need to be shifted within your life. There's times where you just gotta zoom out, and look at the bigger picture, and you should be able to zoom out and see blocks of different things that you did within your life, and how you showed up in the world. And so that's all I got for you today. It's Shoot Your Shot, Mario Brown. I'll see you again on the next video.